Lebanon's health ministry reports 7 dead and 52 injured in clashes along the Syria border, including a 4-year-old girl. The violence escalated after 3 Syrian soldiers were killed over the weekend, with Damascus accusing Hezbollah of involvement, a claim that the group denies. Lebanon and Syria agreed to a ceasefire late on Monday to end 2 days of border clashes. The deal includes enhanced coordination between both sides to prevent further escalation. Meanwhile, donors at a European Union-led conference have pledged €5.8 billion in aid to Syria amid ongoing security and humanitarian challenges following the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad. Sticking in the Middle East, Israel has launched airstrikes on military targets in southern Syria, claiming they posed a threat to national security. The Israeli military confirmed targeting command centres, weapons depots and military vehicles linked to the former Syrian regime. Syria's health ministry reported 3 killed and 19 civilians wounded, including women and children, in a strike near Daraa. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the site was previously controlled by forces of former President Bashar al-Assad, but is now used by Syria's new authorities. This marks another escalation, with Israel previously striking military assets in the same region earlier this month. The Israeli military says it will continue to act against perceived threats near its border. Iran-backed Houthi militia on Tuesday claimed their 3rd attack on American warships in 48 hours, despite US strikes targeting the armed group in Yemen. The Houthis said on Telegram they had targeted the USS Harry S. Truman carrier group with their missiles and drones, marking the attack 3rd in the past 48 hours in the northern Red Sea. A US defense official, however, dismissed these claims. In a televised address, Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi said he will confront US aggression by targeting aircraft carriers. The Houthis have targeted ships travelling the major trade route since the start of the war, claiming solidarity with Palestinians. Washington has vowed to keep hitting Yemen until the Houthis stop attacking shipping. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump warned that he will hold Iran accountable for any further attacks carried out by the Tehran-sponsored group. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran, and Iran will be held responsible, Trump posted on his social media Truth Social. Iran responded by calling his statement belligerent. Let's listen in to what the Houthi leadership and the White House press secretary had to say.
تمكنت القوات المسلحة اليمنية خلال الساعات الماضية من استهداف حاملة الطائرات الأمريكية USS هاري ترومان شمالي البحر الأحمر، وذلك بصاروخين مجنحين وطائرتين مسيرتين، واستهداف مدمرة أمريكية بصاروخ مجنح وأربع طائرات مسيرة. ويعد الاستهداف لحاملة الطائرات هو الثالث خلال 48 ساعة الماضية.
نقدم أيضا من جديد التحذير للأمريكي أن استمراره في عدوانه على بلدنا إسنادا منه للعدو الإسرائيلي إنما يدفع بنا إلى مواجهة تصعيده بخيارات تصعيدية إضافية. نحن نواجه الآن عدوانه بالاستهداف لحاملة طائراته، بالاستهداف لبوارجه وقطعه الحربية في البحر، ولكن حينما يستمر في عدوانه لدينا خيارات تصعيدية أكبر من ذلك وأكثر إيلاما له وإزعاجا له وغيظا له.
Our message to Iran is you better take this president seriously, and I think the Houthis learned that the hard way this past weekend. As I said in my opening remarks, there's a new sheriff in town, and this president is not just going to sit on his hands and allow terrorists to launch attacks on commercial vessels and U.S. naval ships. Those actions will not be tolerated.
Well, joining us to discuss these actions and reactions is Adrian Calamel, a terrorism scholar and fellow at the Arabian Peninsula Institute, who is joining us from New York. Adrian, thank you very much for your time today. I want to first look at these comments made by the United States, made by Donald Trump, accrediting this to Iran. Is there a risk that the US-Iran relations could blow up as a result of this action?
It's great to be back, Joshua. I don't think the relations are going to blow up here. What I see is the Trump campaign, the resumption of what we saw at the end of 2020 when he was still president. You see a maximum pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic. We saw some diplomatic fig leaves saying your nuclear program needs to be completely dismantled, and that's what needs to happen for us to come to the table on this. So now back in 2020, I was warning people about the Houthis and the danger they pose should they start threatening the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Red Sea as well. But Trump is exactly right with his statements in saying that any type of weapon fired, the 100 projectiles that have been fired, 100 missiles that have been fired, the pirating of ships, he's going to hold the Islamic Republic responsible. And this is, as I said, a resumption to his campaign of looking at the Islamic Republic as really the main troublemaker in the region. So you're going to see pressure points on multiple regions and multiple areas. And you mentioned Gaza. There's another example of where we're going to see things start to open up, I would say, around the margins.
Yes, and Adrian, I want to pick up on Gaza. Of course, the Houthis have said these strikes are in solidarity with Palestinians living in Gaza. Is there a possibility that the action that we're seeing now escalating in Gaza, could that have an impact on the Houthis' actions?
No, I don't think so. I think the Houthis were going to do what the Houthis wanted to. It all depends on, well, whatever the Islamic Republic told them to. It all depends on how, at what point do they feel punished where they can no longer carry off these type of attacks. For too long, the United States has been sitting there with its aircraft carriers just plucking off the arrows flying over instead of taking the bows out in Yemen. And that's now what they are starting to do. We saw something like this back in 1988. It was in the Persian Gulf during the waning days of the Iran-Iraq war, and that was Operation Praying Mantis, and that was a U.S. naval group that finally was the Islamic Republic crossed the line, went too far, and we saw this type of action where the United States combined Air Force as well as Navy took out listening stations, took out frigate and multiple these bog hammers that they race around the Persian Gulf. So they're playing from a place of weakness, the Islamic Republic and the Houthis. It depends on when the final, when they say, knock it off, that's enough.
Yes, and away from the diplomatic ties that are being strained by this action, what is the wider geopolitical impact? Of course, shipping in that region is a major vital part of global trade. What impacts could these strikes have over the short term and potentially the long term if this isn't resolved soon?
I do think that this will get resolved. I think there are partners. We have to remember that the Houthis are not the Yemeni government, and that there is a viable alternative to them that doesn't terrorize their own population. It's known as the Southern Transitional Council, and they hold a pocket around Aden, protecting the population there. So we need to work with them, and then also I think, over the past year of playing defense, sitting there in the middle of the Red Sea, there's been a lot of intelligence that has been picked up. Where are they firing these drones from, ballistic missiles from? Where are the production sites? Where's the leadership sitting? Where are the fuel depots, etc.? So I think this is a time where they've been moved off the foreign terrorist organization list. The rules of engagement have changed, and now I think we're going to start to see some impact here. It will be interesting to see. There were reports. I don't know if they're true. I will see, but a clear message to the Islamic Republic would be taking out the basically the spy ship that they have going up and down the Red Sea, painting targets for the Houthis to attack. That would be a clear message to the Islamic Republic that this game's over. Freedom of navigation down the Red Sea is not in question.
Adrian Calamel, thank you for joining us, as always, providing your insight there. And we will, of course, keep you up to date with any of the updates that we get from the Red Sea and from Yemen as well. But we do move on.